Vietnam is betting $16 billion that Singapore's decades-long aviation dominance can finally be broken. For years, Singapore ruled Southeast Asia's skies. Now, Vietnam believes Long Thanh Airport can change that. But is Changi already too far ahead? For more than a decade, Singapore Changi Airport has been the airport every other hub in Asia has tried to match. It's not just about winning the title of the world's best airport again and again. It's about doing the small things almost perfectly. Travelers move between flights with barely any stress, airlines trust its reliability, and millions of passengers choose Changi because they know exactly what to expect. Sitting at the crossroads between Europe, Australia, and Asia, it has become one of the world's most connected aviation hubs, helping airlines fill planes while generating huge revenue from shopping, dining, and entertainment, not just flights. But here's what makes this story interesting. Singapore isn't simply protecting its crown. It's already building Terminal 5, a roughly $10 billion expansion designed to lift Changi's long-term capacity to around 150 million passengers a year, proving the country has no intention of slowing down. And this is where things start getting serious. Around 40 kilometers east of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam is building Long Thanh International Airport, the biggest aviation project in the country's history. With an estimated cost of about $16 billion, the airport is planned with 4 runways and enough land to eventually handle 100 million passengers every year, putting it among the world's largest airports. The first phase is expected to welcome around 25 million passengers annually, with commercial operations targeted for late 2026 if construction stays on schedule. But Long Thanh isn't replacing Tan Son Nhat International Airport overnight. At first, the two airports will work together, easing congestion while Vietnam gradually shifts more international traffic to the new hub. It's an ambitious long-term plan stretching well into the 2030s and 2040s, and its success depends on much more than simply opening the terminal doors.
Before ending the bulletin, we take a look at the construction of Long Thanh International Airport. There are just 2 weeks left until completion.
And then it's quite an exciting countdown. Construction is now in its final stage ahead of the inauguration.
Now here's the advantage that no amount of luxury can simply build. Vietnam sits closer to China, Japan, and South Korea than Singapore does, placing Long Thanh in a strong position for many regional connections across Northeast and Southeast Asia. That doesn't mean every flight suddenly becomes shorter, but on many routes, and depending on the destination, airlines could benefit from more direct routing, lower fuel consumption, and reduced operating costs. Those savings might seem small on a single flight, yet across thousands of flights every year, they become a major business advantage. Geography also creates opportunities for new connecting traffic, especially as travel demand across Asia keeps growing. And that's the real opportunity Vietnam is chasing. Not just moving passengers, but convincing airlines that Long Thanh could become a smarter place to build their future networks. That idea alone is enough to make the rest of Southeast Asia pay attention. But airports don't compete with waterfalls or fancy lounges. They compete for airlines. Every carrier looks at operating costs, turnaround times, airport charges, and how efficiently they can move aircraft back into the sky. That's especially true for low-cost airlines such as Vietjet and AirAsia, where every minute on the ground affects profitability. As budget travel continues to grow across Southeast Asia, airports that help airlines save time and reduce expenses become increasingly attractive. That's why Long Thanh isn't trying to copy Changi's luxury-first approach. Instead, it's offering the possibility of a modern airport built around efficiency and future growth. Of course, lower costs alone won't guarantee success. Airlines also care about passenger demand, connectivity, and reliability. But if Vietnam can combine competitive economics with a rapidly expanding aviation market, Long Thanh could become one of the region's most important new hubs over the coming decades. But here's the twist. While Vietnam is racing to build its biggest airport ever, Singapore isn't sitting back and hoping its reputation will be enough. Instead, it's doing what it has always done, planning years ahead. Changi's Terminal 5, backed by an investment of around $10 billion, is designed to push the airport's long-term capacity to roughly 150 million passengers a year. That isn't a defensive move. It's a statement that Singapore expects aviation across Asia to keep growing, and it wants to stay at the center of it. And this is where the competition becomes fascinating. Changi is doubling down on technology rather than simply adding more gates. The new terminal will integrate AI-powered operations, facial recognition for smoother passenger processing, automated baggage systems, and seamless transfers that reduce waiting times from check-in to boarding. Singapore knows that airlines value reliability just as much as lower costs. So instead of panicking about Vietnam's rise, it's investing even more heavily in speed, efficiency, and passenger experience. In many ways, regional aviation growth doesn't threaten Singapore. It gives Changi even more opportunities to strengthen its position as Asia's most trusted global hub. But here's what nobody should ignore. Building a world-class airport is one thing. Making it work from day one is something completely different. Long Thanh has already faced shifting deadlines, enormous construction pressure, and the challenge of coordinating one of Vietnam's largest infrastructure projects. Thousands of engineers, contractors, and workers have been working around the clock to keep the project on track, while the government has repeatedly pushed for faster completion to meet its commercial opening target. And then comes the biggest question of all. How do passengers actually get there? Unlike Changi, which is deeply connected to Singapore's transport network, Long Thanh is expected to open without a dedicated high-speed rail link. For the first phase, travelers will depend largely on expressways, while future urban rail connections remain under development. The government has accelerated work on those transport projects, but they won't all be ready at launch. That creates a real risk. A world-class airport can quickly lose its appeal if getting to and from it becomes difficult or unpredictable. Vietnam has even deployed military engineering units and additional manpower to help meet deadlines, showing just how critical this project has become. The airport itself may be impressive, but its surrounding infrastructure still has a race to win. So, can Long Thanh actually take Singapore's crown? On paper, Vietnam has plenty going for it. A brand new airport, room for 4 runways, the potential to handle 100 million passengers, a strategic location closer to Northeast Asia, and the flexibility to grow for decades. If operating costs remain competitive, airlines looking to expand across Asia could see Long Thanh as an attractive alternative for future routes. Those advantages are real, and they explain why the project has captured so much attention. But airports aren't judged only by what they're capable of becoming. They're judged by what they consistently deliver. That's where Changi still holds a massive advantage. It has decades of trust, one of the world's strongest airline networks, seamless connectivity, exceptional reliability, and a passenger experience that few airports can match. Add the upcoming Terminal 5 expansion, and Singapore isn't simply defending its lead, it's widening it. More importantly, airline networks don't move overnight. Hub airports take years, sometimes decades, to establish because airlines, passengers, and alliance partners build entire schedules around them. Long Thanh doesn't need to replace Changi to succeed. But taking the crown from one of the world's most established aviation hubs will be a challenge unlike anything Vietnam has faced before. When When you step back, this story is about far more than two airports. Long Thanh is Vietnam's biggest infrastructure investment and one of Southeast Asia's most ambitious aviation projects. If it succeeds, it could reshape regional air travel, attract new airlines, unlock billions in economic activity, and transform Ho Chi Minh City into one of Asia's premier gateway cities. But if passenger demand falls short, or transport links fail to keep pace, the cost of that ambition will be enormous. Singapore, meanwhile, remains the benchmark everyone is chasing. It isn't relying on past success or waiting for competitors to catch up. It's expanding, modernizing, and preparing for the next generation of air travel while regional demand continues to grow. That makes this rivalry so compelling. One country is trying to build its way into the top tier, while the other is investing to make sure it never leaves it. And in the end, the biggest question isn't whether Vietnam can finish building Long Thanh. The concrete will eventually be poured, the runways completed, and the terminals opened. The real test comes after that. Will airlines choose it? Will passengers trust it? Because that's what decides whether an airport becomes a global hub or just another impressive piece of infrastructure. Vietnam has placed a $16 billion bet on changing Southeast Asia's aviation map. Whether that gamble pays off depends on far more than a beautiful new airport. So, what do you think? Will Long Thanh become the region's next great hub, or is Singapore's lead simply too big to catch?